Hello guys, welcome back to Neptune's Rings. We're back here in Kerbal Space Program. Where we last left off, we had just visited, or at least flown by Minmus. So in this episode I'm just going to quickly get us back to Kerbin, let us spend our science and plan what our next trip is going to be, and maybe put up another satellite just so that we have a little bit of action in this episode. Might also go back over and explain the orbital mechanics with y'all again, just so y'all can actually see my mouse this time. But in the meantime, I have set up this maneuver node so that we can circularize in a more equatorial orbit, so that we can actually see Minmus in the daytime, as well as get a good trajectory to go back to Kerbin. So let's just get right back into it. I'm going to begin by time warping to this node, which I guess technically I can just kind of do something like that. Warp here, and it'll take care of the whole process for me. As you can see, our speed in the orbit is very, very low. If you remember around Kerbin, it was a couple kilometers a second. Now we're like 100 meters per second. So that's another sign Minmus is tiny, and it takes so little effort to maneuver around Minmus. It's ridiculous, really. And we'll just put us there. Do just a little bit more time warping, get a little bit closer to that node. Not that it really matters too much though. One close to 8, there we go. And we'll just burn there. Now, bring this in, almost there. There we are. Almost spot on. Dang. Got skills didn't even know I had. Okay, so we're just gonna do a quick time warp over here so we can take. Oh wait, we're going the opposite direction than I thought we were. Okay, we're gonna do a quick time warp to here then. That's fine. It doesn't really matter for this aspect. Like I said in the previous episode, it matters when you're putting in satellites in orbit, because they want you to be going a specific direction, but not for our purposes. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to plan our maneuver to get home. And around the planet or not, it's the same basic concept. To raise your orbit, to get that side of your orbit higher, you want to burn prograde, which is tangent to your orbit in the direction that you're traveling. Retrograde being the opposite, it's tangent to your orbit away from the direction you're traveling. So prograde, you're adding speed to your orbit. Retrograde, you're taking speed away or energy away from your orbit. So we want to burn retrograde to our orbit. Same concept if you're around a planet or not. You just want to burn, since you want to burn retrograde to the orbit of Minmus, you want to burn retrograde or prograde here, which will bring your orbit that way, which is acting as prograde in the grand scheme of things. It's a little bit confusing, but it works. Watch. I'm going to burn this way. It's going to bring our apoapsis around that way. And we're escaping from Minmus. We're taking energy away from the orbit because we're going opposite in the direction of travel of the orbital motion. All the bodies are orbiting this way. We're putting energy into, we're burning prograde, putting energy into our orbit, going in the opposite direction of the orbit. So we're bringing our orbit down. Ooh, it's being a bit fiddly. That's fine. Just leave it at that. We're gonna do this burn, and then we will come back and we'll do another burn there to bring our apoapsis back down some more. But let's just warp to our node. As you can see, it's very, very, very little delta V to escape Minmus. It's almost negligible. In fact, we probably could have landed on Minmus in this episode, or in the last episode. This one too, I guess, but I'd rather have a lander and oops, I completely missed a node, but that's fine because, like I said, it really doesn't matter too much. It's frustrating. My eyeball's a little glitchy. There it is. Perfect. How much fuel do we got? Oh, so much fuel. So much fuel. Like I said, I purposely overkilled it on the fuel a bit because I don't want to get stuck. That's one of my biggest fears is, you know, get Jebediah lost in deep space and never be able to return him. I've had so many missions on my own where I've just completely failed to be able to bring Jebediah back. Okay, now it's a little bit confusing because we had a sphere of influence change, so we're no longer being influenced by Minmus's gravity, but we're being influenced by Kerbin's gravity, so we want to burn retrograde now to bring our orbit around Kerbin down. A little bit confusing, but it's how it works. It's a very strange way to think about it. Oh, whoa, 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 there's an encounter with the moon. We don't want to freak out about that though. Just gonna keep on bringing it down. I missed that entirely. There we go. Okay, we're just gonna keep on bringing it down. I keep on forgetting we have this where we'll be able to see our periapsis around the moon. I mean, around Kerbin. Sorry, too many bodies. We're gonna bring it nice and low, probably around 25 to 35 kilometers, or to 30 kilometers, just to make sure we do a very strong aero braking maneuver, and hopefully bring ourselves down in one orbit. It might take more. 25 is a little questionable. That scares me, but we'll give it a shot because we're already there. So, you know, what have we got to lose? We have everything to lose actually, and like I said, I don't do quick saves and quick loads, so we'll see what happens. I think I have a heat shield on here. I should have a heat shield right there. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and ditch that. Line ourselves up retrograde, so when we come into orbit, our heat shield will be pointed towards the atmosphere, and we'll just do a little bit of time warping. That should, by the time we get down to Earth's orbit, we should be so far away from that, it's not even gonna matter. Where are we? Oh, hey, look, it's Kerbin. Perfect. Exactly where we wanted to be. Let's kind of rotate ourselves this way a little bit. Just like that. We're gonna do quick that. We're gonna do quick that. Okay. And here we come. This is the scary part. There's our temperature bar going up, but hopefully it won't go up much more than that. It shouldn't really. Let's see, our apoapsis is coming down quite fast. Our periapsis is scarily low. It looks like we're just gonna crash right into the Kerbin. So we're definitely coming back in this episode. The question is whether we're gonna slow down enough to deploy our parachute and land safely. We'll see what happens though. This is kind of interesting. I've definitely had episodes, or not episodes, but times on my own playthroughs where I've come down at too sharp an angle, basically straight down, and there's no way I had a chance to stop in time. I just crashed right into Kerbin. It was quite sad. But it looks like we're going to be fine for this one. Just very rapid, very rapid gravity, or aero braking maneuver. I didn't even look at the G-forces that he went through for that deceleration, but I'm sure it was insane. Yeah, so there you go. We made it. That was a very easy little return there. Very little stress. The The SAS does a really good job at keeping us aligned retrograde so that we don't accidentally, expose our unprotected, non-heat shielded components to the extreme temperatures of reentry. So that's good. That's very helpful. I definitely, as you saw, may have seen in one of the previous episodes, I think, probably the second episode, I have a hard time myself keeping it aligned properly into the retrograde direction to make sure that we don't overheat. It was very close on that reentry. We almost lost him, but we made it this far. Surprisingly, this is better than I've ever done on my own, so it's an experience for me too now. I guess maybe we'll launch a satellite in this episode just to get a little bit more funding, and then we'll start preparing to go land on the moon. That's going to be an interesting episode because I've landed on the moon several times, crashed into the moon even more times, and I've stranded my Kerbals on the moon almost every single time. I think I brought them home once. So we'll see if Jebediah, this iteration of Jebediah, will survive to journey to be the first Kerbin to, wow, I can talk. Will survive being the first Kerbal to set foot on the moon and return to Kerbin safely. Hopefully, that's the goal. I've also had a few Kerbals that have gone to the moon, come back to Kerbin, but didn't have the heat shield or the fuel or something to return completely to Kerbin. So they were in orbit around Kerbin, they just didn't get to come home per se. Oh dang. I would have thought that would have gave me enough experience to level up again, but I guess not. I guess we have to set foot on the planets. Let's see. There's a couple of rescue missions. Those are fun to do. Plant a flag on the moon. That's something that we will do. Let's see, does it have an expiration date? No, it doesn't. It'll leave from here, but we don't have to do it by... Oh no. We have 8 years to do it, so we're going to pick that up now. Because we're going to do that. Data from science around the moon. We're going to do that. Duration 10 years. Yeah, we'll pick that up. Eventually we'll do the rescue missions. I want to get a capsule that can accommodate more Kerbals first. But we're going to put this satellite up into orbit. And hopefully this time I'll be able to show you how to do it well. Hopefully. We'll see how that ends up going. So we're going to want to get these landing legs and stuff. Because on the reaction control. Just going to get these two so we can get... Or no, we don't quite get them both. We're going to get the landing legs. Some bigger fins would probably be nice, but not necessary. Those are mostly for planes. Are these... Okay, great. These are fairings. Well, not all of them. This one's a fairing, which is super nice for probes. These are also nice for probes, but we're going through our science very quickly. I don't want to burn through it all at once. These will be good for once we start getting space stations up. This is good for... Well, we can use that to do rescue missions, I guess. This will be important. Lander can. How many people can fit in that? Crew of 1. I can get one of these. 160 science. Interesting. We can actually... What's tempting? We can start getting these bigger rockets. But we need to upgrade the science bay to do that. Ooh, command mod. I've never gotten this far in the texture. I've never actually gotten the bigger command pods. So this is exciting for me. More solar panels and batteries too. Those will be good. As for now though, we might just pick this up and then what do I want to do? Do I want to do the wings? Probably do the propulsion system because these will be good to put on like little satellites that we send up into orbit. like we're kind of planning on doing. How much is it? Ooh, that's a lot to upgrade that. It's a lot to upgrade that. And we could upgrade that, but it would take a lot of our money, our funds. And it's not necessarily necessary at the moment. And then spaceplane hangar. Maybe in one of the next episodes soon we'll start doing some planes, flying those around a little bit. Probably not spend too much time in them because most of the fun in Kerbals is rockets, but also that's just me. That's what I'm going to school for, is rockets and space and stuff, so I'm sure some people are more interested in the planes than the rockets. All the power to them. Okay, so we're gonna prepare a ship for our satellite to launch from. I'll probably build that off camera real quick, and then we'll launch it when I come back. But yeah, I'll bring y'all back as soon as I have it built. Okay, everybody, welcome back. I think I have our next satellite to go up, all ready to go. This little guy weighs just over half a ton, so not much compared to the rockets, but. So we have this little communitron here, so it can talk back to Earth, or to Kerbin, so that we don't lose contact with it. I also decided to put this high gain antenna on it. That way, if we ever need to send things farther away from Kerbin, we have something around, flying around, that can help relay the signal back. Not that it's going to help a lot. I mean, Kerbin's, it's not going to be that far away. This isn't going to be that far away, so it's very small distance that's having to cover. Also got solar panels and batteries in there, and this little engine with the, I believe this is the Spark engine. Yeah, it's kind of like our Terrier and Poodle engines. It's very efficient, and it's just to basically get the satellite into the preferred orbit and do, for roleplay purposes, do station keeping, make sure it stays in the orbit that we put it in. And I put this fairing on top of it just to make sure that the aerodynamics don't fool around with anything or break anything. Then we got this big stage here with our Terrier engine, so once we get up into space, this will put the satellite where it needs to be. And honestly, we can probably do with a smaller fuel tank, which I actually might do right now, because that's a bit of overkill. Oh, interesting. Oh. That should do fine. Oh yeah, still plenty of fuel. That's in vacuum. And that'll give this our bottom engine here with the 3 fuel tanks more wiggle room. It has less to carry up into space. Let's just do our staging real quick. Deploy the fairing, deploy that. It should be all good to go. And this isn't the Minmus, maybe this is satellite launch, or yeah, something like that. I'm not very original with names, but we'll go with that for now. Here we go. I believe, yes, we do have SAS, but it's using our electricity, so we gotta get up and going sooner rather than later. Oop, I forgot to check the thrust to weight ratio, which is unfortunate on my part. That might make this a little bit harder than it needs to be. You can see right here on our nav ball, we're already starting to kind of drift the other way, which is not ideal by any means. Oop, and we got a little bit of wiggle. Also not ideal, but it looks like we got it all under control. I don't think this is going up into orbit. This is going to be a little bit of a fit to our reputation. See, that's why it's very important to always make sure your thrust to weight ratio is the proper. If you're on the ground, it needs to be 1 or greater, because that means you have enough thrust. You have, for every pound you have a pound of thrust, or for every newton of mass. It's not newtons are mass, or force. For every newton of downward force on your rocket, you have a newton of upward force. So It wouldn't necessarily get you up off the ground, you need to be slightly higher than 1, but it would keep you flying if you're already going. It would make you hover. As for this, we're barely making it. I'm kind of curious what our thrust to weight ratio actually is. But it looks like it's actually doing fairly decently, so that's okay. I'm afraid it initiated our gravity turn too early, because this is a very long rocket that would be very easy to spin out due to aerodynamic forces, especially with the low thrust that we have, or at least the relatively low thrust that we have going on. So we're going to stay very close to our prograde marker here. So the closer you are, the more stable you'll be to it, and hopefully that'll keep us from spinning out too bad. Start our gravity turn a little bit. Oh yeah, we'll be fine. Oh yeah, we're living. We're actually going pretty high up there. I don't know how high we're supposed to go. Let's see. Oh, we gotta go pretty high so we can keep on burning. Inclination is 5.1 degrees. That's good. I forgot to check. I mean, I vaguely remember what the orbit was supposed to look like, but I forgot to check what direction we're supposed to launch and what the equatorial orbit was supposed to look like and whatnot. But this should be fine. Let's just focus on getting ourselves. Oops, I was still raising our apoapsis a bit, but I remember we need to worry more about getting into orbit at the current moment. We can actually eject our fairing. Bam, that was a lot of force. And you can see our satellite all nice and ready to go up here. Trying to deploy that guy, just to make sure that we don't lose contact up here. We don't lose signal and can't control our probe. We should be recharging our batteries now that we are somewhat exposed to sunlight. Not great, but we do have exposure. Looks like we actually might have to end up using the little thruster that's on the probe to get us exactly where we need to be. This launching vehicle is doing exactly what it was supposed to do and launching us and getting us into a hopefully circular orbit, or not even necessarily circular orbit, but into an orbit. Yeah, this should get us into orbit just fine. It'll get us a decent way up into our apoapsis as well. Although we might have to change where the apoapsis is according to this ascending node. We should be fine though. I'm not terribly concerned. We've done much more on much less. Okay, we just need to get our apoapsis just a little bit higher. Up to 5.5 megameters. Okay, there we go. Let's take a look at where we're at. Oh, we're not too far off from where we need to be. So we're just going to our inclination's not great. We're gonna add a maneuver here though. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. I wanted to add a maneuver. We're gonna burn our periapsis out that way and try to get it as close to too much. Perhaps as close to where it needs to be as possible. That should be fine. And from there we'll kind of figure out where we need to be and what we need to do to get our everything all lined up the way it's supposed to be. Oh no. This probe core is supposed to have, yeah, it's got reaction wheels on it. Now this is a little bit buggy. I'm gonna go staging mode, but it won't let me. Click the X, nope, won't let me. That's interesting. Okay. Can't turn that off. Why can't I control my probe? Hmm. At full signal. Strength. I'm communicating. I have electric charge. Not in hibernation. Operational. This is interesting. Because I can't throttle up or anything either. I can't turn on my SAS or not. Oh, because I'm in time warp. Wow. Hey, watch out. You can't really do anything while you're in time warp. Alright, nope, overshot a little bit. Okay. There we are. I'm gonna do a little time warp and I'll bring y'all back. And I overshot the node just a little bit, but that should be fine. Doesn't really matter too much. Oops. Ran out of fuel in that state, so now we gotta start using the fuel in our this little guy. Ooh, that was scary. There's a lot more oomph than I was expecting. Oh, we're off. We're off. We're off course. That's okay. Just bring it back. This little guy is very wibbly. Doesn't like staying straight. Okay. So let's take that off. We'll see where we're at. Perhaps this is a little bit low, but that's fine. Okay, then we're just gonna make a node. Oh my god, so hard to see. Alright, add a maneuver there, and we're gonna. That's gonna be our ascending node, so we gotta going up through that. So we gotta bring this down like that. Yep, and that'll put our orbit about where it's supposed to be. Or I'll put our inclination where it's supposed to be. And we just gotta adjust our periapsis and apoapsis a little bit to line up correctly. Sorry if you hear the barking and the doors slamming in the background. Like I said in previous episodes, I do have roommates, so they do come and go, and there's other dogs, and you know. In about a month or so, month or two, I'm gonna be moving to a smaller apartment where I only have one roommate, and so it should be a bit better of a recording setup for that. So that'll be good. And it'll just be my dog, and he doesn't really bark, so you shouldn't have any more of that background. Hopefully, at least. Okay, we're gonna burn. Oops. Ooh. Oops. Overburned a little bit. That's fine. We can fix this by just going over here to the anti-normal and just adjusting. I was very distracted by the whole fact that like it's very wibbly, as you can see. Okay, that's close enough. Let's see, what's our ascending node? 0 degrees. Perfect. We're just about spot on with where we're supposed to be. Now we just gotta kind of fly here, add a maneuver, and bring our periapsis. Or I guess we're gonna put our apoapsis there. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Stop it. I don't want it though. I want it to go away. Yeah, let's see. I'm just gonna put her right there. We're gonna try to get this to line up with that. There we go. That should put us about where we need to be. Bring it down just a hair. There you go. I like to fine tune these to get them as close as possible sometimes, but other times it not so much. It doesn't really matter too much. There, we'll just warp to that maneuver. As you can see, these maneuver nodes are so much more helpful to plan all your maneuvers and stuff, other than just eyeballing it and guessing and trying to make things work. Of course, they're not necessary, as you also saw in my previous videos, but they do help a lot. Okay. And we're just gonna go ahead and burn now, just because we can. Yeah, did that? I think that actually just put us where we need to be. Yeah. Oh, the contract complete? It did complete. Yep. Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. So that's how you would do that. Nice and simple. I hope that wasn't too boring of an episode for you. I know all we did was just return and then send up a satellite, but you know, I'm trying to keep these episodes to a manageable length. You know, um, if you want more done in future episodes, I can always I can do more cuts in them, and that way we have a little bit more time to fly. That way I only bring you back for when we're actually, you know, hitting milestones or launching, you know, actually getting in orbit, stuff like that. Just let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll try to make videos accordingly. But for now, this has been Neptune's Rings. I hope you enjoy. Bye.